Northern countries like Denmark, Sweden, and Finland have undersigned a partnership 5 years ago in San Francisco, a co-working space initiative. And also last year, Denmark, for the first time, appointed a technology ambassador to San Francisco. So when this initiative by the northern countries, it's stated that this is also a mindset rather than just a collaborative space. So in this shortcut to good, how are these collaboration spaces functioning also in Turkey now? How are the projects for good coming into effect? Are they the right projects? Are they reducing electricity expenditure, or more than that, rather, can they put forward a mindset for saving the world? In that sense, we are inviting to the stage, with your applause, Cihan, Seyithanoğlu, Ayşe, Sabuncu, and Esra, Gönen to the stage to discuss this. Hello to everyone. A lot of young people here among the audience I see. There is a very nice saying. I would like to start with this. They say, if you can explain what you're doing to your parents, then you will be out of a job in 5 years' time. So, yes, you can applaud. That's the truth. Yes. So, those who can really explain to their parents what they are doing, those who cannot explain to their parents what they are doing are the pioneers in this field who are with me now, and I'm also happy to share the same career with them. With this a person from Istanbul and Ankara working in a entrepreneurial center. For 11 years, I've seen that there is a society that is building up there. There are, of course, very good technical benefits of such societies, such platforms, as Halit also mentioned. But when we look at it from the technical side, and this synergy created by people working in diverse fields come together to collaborate in this synergy that is created in these offices, created for a common goal of all these fields, is the pure experience that we have there. I visited your offices. We have had mentoring meetings and also kickoff meetings. And I would like to ask you, this wonderful experience that I had, how would you consider this mindset, these spaces from your perspective? Cihan, I would like to start with the ladies. If it's okay with you. All these societies that you've created, how can we make more use of these societies to create more good, more social good? Esra, let's start with you. Thank you. It's very correct where you are saying, because my father's still asking me, what the hell are you doing here? I don't understand what you're doing. He's amazed and surprised in whatever we are doing. So, like I said, or when we set out as Origin, we thought about this sharing infrastructure, sharing the costs and expenditures, and would be a benefit for the entrepreneurs. We thought of it as a space where all these expenditures can be shared, where we can have a common ground for entrepreneurs. But we see that we later saw that we were trying to cope with the same issues, and so we all needed to share, and we all needed to be in solidarity. So we swiftly determined a vision for ourselves in this regard as well. In Izmir, where we are active, Izmir does seem to be viewed as a very comfortable and leisureful city without a lot of organization. They seem to be a little bit closed down. And yes, we wanted to become a source of inspiration for further collaboration and further sharing and open models to create a space of trust where we would not have any hierarchical dynamics, where we can have students and teachers and public officials and private entrepreneurs coming together just to cooperate, free and devoid of egos, sort of like an independent space for this collaboration. And I believe we've made quite some headway on this. And we have had, like I said, these common issues of the world. needed interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary solutions. So, we have little time and we have limited resources, as we've been saying all day. So this allowed us to share all those time and resources. And digitalization is also a great part of this, because we are not restricting this collaboration or this working style to a single space. This is a mindset, like I said, both locally and internationally. We are coming together with different such societies to bring forth projects. And when this turns into a society of its own, this of course brings self-confidence in the individuals that are a part of that society. And so in any issue that they are faced with, any ideas, they can come back to their society and community. And in that community, they can bring forth their ideas for the city of Izmir, for us specifically, for example, any social problem that they want to tackle, from animals to other social areas. They come back to their community and cooperate to solve. And also similar communities are also taking such examples into effect. Like you said, also in southern Turkey, Mersin, more than 100 students have come together for climate change. So a lot of communities in this way are sharing these collaboration spaces to form solutions to the climate crisis. We have food teams who are working on receiving good produced food to support local producers of food and to give them ground to grow as well. So let's just elaborate on the climate issue that you are tackling as well, together with the entire world. In the recent weeks, we have had an event in these collaborative spaces named Solutions for Climate in these youth centers. We're taking Ayşe, maybe you would like to also elaborate a little bit on how we can create further social good with climate on. And I was recently invited to work as a mentor, and I saw a social entrepreneur in the Impact Hub who had produced a small box for his nephew with autism. And on the other hand, we had a group of Turkish citizens, 3 young female university graduates coming together to work on a social project to create more employment for Turkish peoples as well. What is your perspective on this? Impact Hub is, of course, a global social innovation platform. And when we first discovered Impact with my partner about 4.5 years ago in different areas of the world, we could not believe our eyes. And we saw entrepreneurs coming together from private sector, from public sector, from NGOs who wanted to make a better world. And maybe these were people who could not really meet on the same page on their own, but they had been brought together by these hubs. So we thought, why don't we do this in Turkey? Because Turkey needs this as well. And so in that sense, we wanted to take both Turkey and the world a step ahead and to be able to contribute to the development goals as well. That was our major aim. And this is the aim that we've been working towards in these 4.5 years. And actually, our collaborative space is a small group of people. That's just a core group, so to say, that are actually organizing a network of 300 to 400 institutions in that sense. And our stakeholders are also part of this network. And so with these stakeholders, we try to develop various projects for social good and social sharing. That's our main goal here. So the space itself, the physical space itself, is just an intermediary for us to bring us all together, sort of like for events and organizations like your mentoring sessions or other different entrepreneurial events. And what's important there is what kind of projects come out of all this togetherness, and together with our community and our society, we try to focus on the issues that are important for them. And sometimes as a team, we focus more on one topic over the other, and we bring it to our network to say who would want to develop a project on that field with us. Or sometimes it comes from our members in the network, topics and ideas where they would like to advance on social platforms. So we cooperate all together to develop these projects, so to say. One of the example is that in the first times, one of our first members of the network was a food entrepreneur, and they had come into contact with social good through us. And so with this member, we developed further ideas and established a platform for food and agriculture, interactive platform. And now it has become a platform that is actually supporting both producers and agricultural producers and food producers, and impact is also on basically active in these areas. So you keep creating this environment, this setting where people go into and get the chance to change the lives of people who are not like them in any sense. Cihan, what would you say? I think more than 20 Turkish spaces and also more international spaces are under your management in that sense, and also from various fields to food entrepreneurship to social good entrepreneurship, social welfare. What do you have? What kind of social or common working grounds do you have? How do you plan to go ahead with these social good platforms? We are actually just a stakeholder of all of these platforms together. We are just a sharing platform operator born in Galata, so to say, and we are operating in various countries. And we are active in several cities in Turkey as well, and we are broadening our operations. You know, we know that first the science changes, then the infrastructure changes, and then the culture and the human being changes. So this is how what we do evolves. So the science is already changed, and the infrastructure is ready, and now the next is the culture and the human being. And we realize that we might be a commercial-based organization, but if we do what we do with this mindset, with this perspective, we will not have any sustainable business model. So we are now at the stage of these business models evolving. And I believe in this sense we have to touch two factors. One is the human being, and the other is also the industrial outcome. Of course, this is not something which is voiced very frequently because more people are talking about themselves as stakeholders, because this industry is still very new and taking its baby steps. And we do have a very productive path ahead of us, productive journey ahead of us. And we're all a stakeholder of this new industry, and of course we are reaping the rewards of that fast development as well. So we do have to hold hands together, and we have to touch the human being on this path, on this journey. So a social economy is being formed, as we pointed out. So an economy is also moving in that path. The financial economy is moving in that sense. We are not people who can pick and choose or find solutions for cultural changes. We might not be one, but we can move our own trainings, our own workshops towards establishing these social tendencies. So in that sense, if we do not move towards this social sharing and digitalization, as Esra pointed out, if we leave these things are only in the physical spaces and the square meters that we already have, we're not going to get anywhere. So we have to move ahead with that. And in the world, of course, there are various business models, although we call them all sharing spaces. We can have sometimes a limited square meter area, but we have these sharing desks that we have. That's where the ideas come forth, because that's where you have the interaction, that's where you create the synergy. And in the world, when you look at the operators, maybe 1% of them is actually doing that shared office. So the number of operators who are able to create that synergy is very small in that sense. So we are in maybe 300 membered network, but maybe 1% or 2% is the actual rate of these shared offices being created. You know, as an industry, as a sector, we call this a shared office, and all the members that go into that platform are given an area which they shared. So how much do these 200, 300 stakeholders share with each other? That's what I say. To be able to get a 3 out of 1 plus 1, you have to find the ways to get at that extra 1. And that depends on the sharing, on the interaction. We don't know where we're going to end up with and where this culture is going to take us, but a social economy is being formed on the basis of this. This means that all these stakeholders need to be able to really communicate and interact with each other. So that's why we have launched last week this social entrepreneurial shared office. We do believe this will be a role model for the industry, and will grow in number. We don't need anything else other than collaboration and cooperation, because we are a strong people with very, very productive land and resources, and I believe we just have to make use of them. That's all. And you know that we are quite good on our timing, and there's no competition going on here. As I was listening to you all, I noticed that all the headings of today were topics that we could be talking about here when we talk about shared spaces. We get to talk about the climate, we get to talk about the SDGs, and we talk about collaboration. We get to talk about entrepreneurial initiatives. Very interesting. Last week we hosted the summit, the UN summit with fair trade. And I was told there that in 2030, more than 50% of the newly established companies will be social initiatives, social entrepreneurships. So that would mean that we would be, as we have spoken about here, having these young people here with us today, establishing new businesses based on the idea, what would this new business mean for me, for us? And as they look for that meaning, they're going to end up here, what we have talked about, for efficiency and productivity of energy, of water, of affordability. These are also spaces where you are working together, collaborating to be able to turn the lives of people who are not like you into good lives in that sense. So holding hands in together is really one of the main factors that the UN took into consideration when designing the SDGs as well. And people who look upon each other as stakeholders, fellow stakeholders, and who, for example, as you mentioned, Cihan, considers a community of 200 or 300 to be stakeholders and cooperations and friends and colleagues who talk about the future, a common future. So I wish you all future careers that you will not be able to explain to your parents at all. Thank you for your attention.